Gentle parenting does not work.
I thought we were in a hurry. If you rush children, it makes them anxious.
My kids beat me up. They beat me up.
So that is not a clip from a movie. That's an actual parent trying out gentle parenting. And listen, I'm not here to say every gentle parent is raising a mini sociopath. But when you look at what's happening, kids cursing at their teachers, throwing iPads at their moms.
Give me my phone, you idiot!
You have to really wonder what in the world is going on. Does this type of parenting actually work? Gentle parenting is supposed to mean raising kids with empathy, respect, and understanding. No yelling, no spanking, no saying things like no because I said so. Instead, you're supposed to validate their feelings and guide them with calm conversations, right? And let me just say, it makes sense why people want this. For years, authoritarian parenting has been the norm. Yelling, punishments, guilt trips. A lot of people still carry trauma from that, and I can tell you that for sure. Gentle parenting was meant to correct all the havoc caused by this type of parenting, and honestly, I get it. Nobody wants to repeat the same pain that they went through growing up, and that's why this movement took off in the first place. But from what we're saying on like TikTok and social media, some parents are confusing gentle with no rules. It's sad to watch a kid smack their mom, and their mom's response is, "Trevor, use your words. You're having big feelings." Trevor doesn't need a TED talk right now. Trevor needs a boundary. And if you're not giving him that boundary, you're literally negotiating with a tiny dictator. A lot of parents are trying to take a different approach to what they experienced growing up, which I think is great. We should definitely be constantly evolving and finding better ways to do things. But the problem here is that many parents want to be friends first with their kids, and then they start to wonder why the kids turn out or end up disregarding them. Millennials and Gen Z parents are literally doing the most right now. I'm sorry, but why is Tracy, your daughter, screaming frantically in the mall just because you refuse to buy a toy for her, and she's literally like uncontrollable and yelling at you? I get it. Like, parents don't want to be the mean mom and the strict dad. They want their kids to trust them. But sometimes I feel like what we are seeing these days looks less like parenting. It looks like you're trying to provide customer service to your kids.
Wait. I am so sorry that I said that it was time to go. How about we start a timer?
No!
Oh, gentle hands. Gentle hands. Gentle hands. I know you're having so many big feelings right now. Mommy just wants to validate them.
Like, your kid is screaming in the mall because you wouldn't get them a toy. It's fine. Like, kids scream when they're disappointed all the time. But at this point, it's obvious and they've never been given boundaries and they've never been told that it's not okay to do that. You know, you have a parent crouching down to whisper in front of their kid that is disturbing the whole mall that it's okay to have big feelings. Tracy doesn't need that. Tracy doesn't have big feelings, right? She needs to hear no and know that it actually means something. Studies actually show, surprisingly, that gentle parenting does in fact build stronger relationships and helps children develop emotional intelligence. And they actually learn to name their feelings, you know, put a name to exactly what they're feeling and manage tantrums better, trust their parents more, and I think that's a good thing. But where I think the problem is that there should be an age where that starts to become the norm. Kids are not little adults. I see a lot of parents talking to kids and trying to reason with them. Kids do not run on logic. Kids need actual structure and they need consequences for their actions. Toddlers literally can't understand perspective outside their own yet. So when your toddler slaps you and laughs,
No.
it's not necessarily because they are evil, although sometimes maybe, but it's because they think that you find it funny too. Now imagine trying to sit them down when they slap you and you're trying to give them a TED talk on empathy at this point, and you're like, "Sweetie, when you hit mommy, it hurts my feelings." Yeah, that's probably not landing the way that you think it is. Your brain is just not there yet. I'm sorry, it's just not. But you know what does land? If I slap mom, I get punished. If I eat my broccoli, I get ice cream. If I wake up early to go to school, I come back and I'm able to play some minutes of video games or something. I'm able to go for a play date this weekend if I do right. That is something that kids can relate to. That's something that they will follow up on. In fact, you'll find a lot of times when if you've promised a kid something, right, and you don't deliver on that promise, they are literally going to frustrate your life. They're going to pester you until you give them what they want. So if you've promised a kid that, okay, maybe you're gonna travel or in like December or something, and you're like, don't worry, make sure you do this so that you travel, that kid is going to make sure that they are meticulous in doing what you would have them do. But let it get to the point where you promise that you will do something and you don't. Oh, I promise you. They're going to remind you of it every single day until you actually fulfill the promise. So I definitely think that the risk with gentle parenting is that some parents skip that step. They think that consequences equate trauma. And so we have got to do it to the extreme where parents are doing a lot of explaining and trying to reason with the kid. Meanwhile, it is subconsciously and indirectly teaching the kid that they can push and nothing eventually happens.
Gentle parenting is raising mean, rude adults and teenagers. There's mean, because what are we doing? We're teaching our child that your emotions and your feelings are more important than everybody else. What you're going through is more important than even what mom and dad are going through, because you won't do what we ask you to do, but now I have to emotionally be there to be able to coddle you in a moment. And what happens then is you're the center of the world. You're the center of the universe. Well, what happens when they get to grade school? What happens when the kids around them don't want to coddle their emotions? What happens as an adult when your boss, even when your spouse, they can't take any accountability and control their emotions because everything is about them.
Now, you don't even have to take my word for it, right? Like, look at these teachers. There's been a nationwide survey that found that 68% of teachers have been verbally abused by students. 44% say that student misbehavior is their top source of stress.
Gentle parenting is ruining our children. We can't do much when students misbehave, when they're yelling, when they're cursing, when they're throwing chairs. They're trying to hit teachers with their jackets. They are stomping on their feet. That is not okay. That is when gentle parenting has not benefited that child.
And what do you think happens when these same kids go home to their parents who are afraid to set firm consequences? Nothing. Now, can we prove that gentle parenting alone is behind this rise in behavior? No. But I think that the data points to a mix of things. There's obviously the pandemic that happened because this survey was done in 2022. There's iPad addictions. There are things like loss of structure at home. The reality is when parents avoid consequences altogether in the name of gentleness, schools end up dealing with the fallout. Now, I know a lot of gentle parenting people and parents are probably watching this right now and they'll be like, oh, that's not gentle parenting, that's permissive parenting. I think they're right to an extent because based on the definition of gentle parenting, if you check online, you'll see that it should include some boundaries. But I think what we're seeing on social media is gentle parenting being depicted in a very, very different lights. We are seeing a lot of permissiveness, which is lacking a lot of structure. It's treating a kid as an adult, and the distinction doesn't matter in practice when the outcome is pretty much the same. We're having kids who do not know where the line is. So yeah, people can say, oh, that's permissive parenting. You can say that, but if your description of gentle parenting is blurring the line a little bit, where there are boundaries, but not all the time. You know, the boundaries are not really set all the time, and other times is more of having conversations and over explaining to this kid that cannot reason on the same wavelength as you, that their frontal lobe is not even close to being developed yet. Yeah, I think that there's just a lot wrong with, you know, that extreme parenting has gotten to the point where as much as we're all like trying to run away from that authoritarian parenting, we're now going into another extreme where it's like, you know, I mean, let's reason things together, which I think I'm not saying this should not happen, right? But I think there are stages in the kid's life where this should happen. I don't think that it is necessarily appropriate to be reasoning with a kid, with a 5-year-old kid. At that point, what they need is more of guidance and direction and instructions. And even if you need them to do something, there are times where you can give them reasoning for why they should do stuff, but they might not always understand why, and that's why you're the parent, and that's why you're in that position. You know better at that point. You understand why. Even if they don't understand, their responsibility is to obey your instruction at that point. As they grow older, some things will start getting clearer. They will start forming their own beliefs and their own orientation, and they can start to make decisions even outside you. But I think there's a particular age where it is solely your responsibility to guide that child. You could guide them with some understanding of the reasoning behind what they're doing, but again, they would not always understand the reason why they have to do stuff. It's just common sense because they are not adults. It will be too much to expect for them to be operating at the level of an adult or understanding things at the level of an adult. From the research, we've seen that the parenting style that consistently produces the best outcomes is not the authoritarian style of parenting, because I think that was definitely an extreme and has led to a lot of mental health issues, has led to a lot of trauma. As much as a lot of people might be thinking that those are flimsy, they are actually not, because some people have suffered from those. And it's definitely not the permissive type of parenting or the gentle type of parenting. I think it's definitely a good balance between having some warmth and some boundaries. There's been research that kids that have been raised this way do better in school, they have fewer behavior problems, they develop empathy and social skills, they build higher self-esteem, and they even feel more satisfied with life overall. So I don't think children just need parents that are gentle. I think children need parents that are gentle and firm, parents who can validate their feelings but also enforce boundaries, because love without limits can create chaos, and limits without love can create resentment. I also think that no two kids are the same, right? A kid could need more firm hands compared to another kid, and training them and parenting them the exact same way without consideration for things like their uniqueness, their personality differences might not necessarily be helpful. And honestly, I really don't think parenting is a walk in the park. There are many people that are doing great in their careers, in their personal lives, and they are even mentors and even pastors to others, but have missed the mark with parenting, which tells me that it's not necessarily about how smart and successful you are in other areas of life. If you don't learn how to set boundaries, connect with your kid, adapt to their personality, you can still get it wrong. And I think that there should be a time for everything. Sometimes tough love is more important and critical to our growth, even when scratched out, especially when we don't want it. Other times, gentle love is what we need even as adults. And I imagine that this applies to kids as well. So guys, I'm actually interested to know how would you say you were raised, and how do you think that shaped how you see parenting today? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.